It's very hard to speak truth to power, but that's what I'm charging all of you to do today. Whether you hate me or love me or have no opinion, which is the worst thing you can say about me or our foundation, please remember the concept of core values, right? What's first? Integrity. What does that mean, dude? I mean, seriously. To me, integrity first means the two other things: service before self, and then excellence in all that we do. Now, this service that you're supposed to do, and again, I'm sure you've had people say, thank you for your service. Thank you, wearing your uniform. Thank you for your service. For your service, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your service. Your service, when you put that uniform on, there's only one religion. It's patriotism. Please listen carefully to my words. I'm not banishing God. I'm not banishing Jesus or Vishnu or Allah or Moses or anybody. There's only one crescent moon. There's only one Star of David. There's only one crucifix. That's the American flag. And there's only one Quran, Torah, and New Testament, and that's the U.S. Constitution. And I don't think most of you know it very well. I think when most of you during the BCT, or if you're at the prep school, my youngest son went to the prep school. My dad is an Annapolis grad. He went to the Naval Academy prep school. I think you're like 3-year-olds babbling at the table. I don't mean this pejoratively, when you say the oath. Our foundation has assiduously studied the academies. Do you know that you can graduate from this incredible institution, costing the American taxpayer $350 grand, maybe a little more, a lot more if you went to the Peace School? How many Peace School graduates out here? God bless you, and I mean that. You can graduate and have one optional hour of instruction in the First Amendment at this school. It's not right. Now, one of the things I'm going to do today is that one of our biggest donors, and we have a lot of them, is very interested in establishing a semester course here in the Bill of Rights, which, by the way, was not passed for the convenience of the majority, but to protect the minority from the tyranny of the majority. It was passed in March of 1791, which was 15 months after the body of the Constitution was passed, and of course includes the First Amendment. The First Amendment, the first commandment. What is the first commandment? You cannot have any other gods but me. The First Amendment. Oh, yes, you can. That is the separation of church and state that we have in this beautiful country. And by having our separation of church and state, it allows everybody's religious faith to be gloriously and comprehensively celebrated. If you do not believe that we have a separation of church and state in the United States of America, then I would have to call you absurd. That is an absurd belief at this point in your careers as cadets. I know we have students from other universities and colleges here. If this is what's led today, at this moment, at this hour, the 11th hour of February 19th, 2010, and you still don't think that we separate church and state in this country, particularly in our U.S. military, then you are absurd. Absurdity. What did Voltaire say about that? Why is it important? Because we're talking about your service before yourself. If you like Baskin-Robbins ice cream, if you like pizza, that's great, but your service will come first. If you like fast cars, your service will come first. What is your service? What did Voltaire say about absurdity? He who can lead you to believe in absurdity can lead you to commit an atrocity. And what am I doing here today? Besides being honored by your presence and sorry that so many of you are forced to stand. H.G. Wells, right, one of our greatest authors, he talked about civilization, a definition for it. And I'm talking to the Air Force Academy civilization today. You are a civilization of hard work and sweat and desire and fear and courage and integrity. H.G. Wells said that civilization can be defined as a race, ladies and gentlemen, between education and catastrophe. What about speaking truth to power? Is that part of your service? It is. The average American doesn't have enough balls to tell someone to shut the hell up if they're talking in a movie theater. We've all been there, haven't we? I've actually, this will be hard for you to believe, gotten into a fist fight recently because someone wouldn't shut up. He started it. Look, Avatar is a beautiful movie, but they're not going to mess when I go see Twilight. And but in all seriousness, there will come a time, just like when you learn a new word, you see it everywhere, where you're going to sit down and have the same question that I had from a firstie 48 hours ago. He called me at home. He was very distraught because one of his classmates in the class of 2010 made it clear that he couldn't wait to graduate so he could deploy to bring Christ to the Afghans. He planned to do that by handing out Bibles that were written in Dari and Pashtun. So the first he calls me, he's furious, and I said, well, what do you want me to do about that? I mean, look at your core values. Now, have any of you ever heard of the Little Blue Book, which is the Air Force core values? If you look at what it says about religion, it says religion is a matter of individual conscience. Military professionals, especially commanders, must never, ever take it upon themselves to try to coercively change or influence the religious views of subordinates. And yet it happens all the time. Otherwise, these people wouldn't come to us, most of whom are deep believers in Jesus Christ. So I told the firstie, you need to talk to your classmate. You need to sit down and go through this. And he said, well, can you give me some ammunition? I said, well, where do I start? And we can talk about the First Amendment and the Constitution. We can talk about Afghan law, Iraqi law, Pakistani law. But let's just go with General Tommy Franks, who initiated in the early 2000s Standing General Order 1 Alpha, not 8 million triple Z, 1 Alpha, which calls for a complete prohibition on the proselytizing of any religion, faith, and practice in the AOR. So he's going to try to go back and see if he can fix that. That's not something that we're going to get involved in, and that's something that if you're asked about that, you need to figure it out. Now, of course, I know that we have people here today from Campus Crusade for Christ, the Navigators, God Chasers, Officers Christian Fellowship. We often are at war with these organizations, not necessarily with the individuals, but I would ask yourself, in your zeal to convert people, you need to find a balance, a personal and a constitutional balance, so that you can live up to service before self. Your service is to your Constitution first. You swore that. Support, defend, protect, and preserve the Constitution, not your particular biblical worldview. 99.99% of the time, we are fighting fundamentalist, dominionist Christianity in the U.S. Marine Corps, Navy, Army, and Air Force. We have a number of flag officers who support us that stay sub rosa, below the horizon. They see it. They know it's not a problem, ladies and gentlemen, and it is not an issue, and it's not a challenge. What am I doing here today? I'm talking about a national security threat to this country internally, every bit as much as what we're facing in magnitude, width, breadth, formidability, externally by a resurgent Taliban and an Al-Qaeda that is at least as strong as it was on 9/11. And the calculus of that national security threat is a fanatical religiosity. The concept, again, if you don't know it, dominionist Christianity, mixed in with misguided patriotism, throw in a dash of unfettered access due to the draconian specter of military command influence, a total abrogation of the oath to the Constitution, and a complete dearth of restraint, oversight, and supervision, and you have a national security threat that is so huge in magnitude that almost no one believes it exists unless you're complicit. So if you are a member of these parachurch organizations, and we've had some of you be clients of ours, in your zeal, that's fine. But you need to look very carefully. If your mission statement says, as Campus Crusade for Christ said several years ago on the video, we want everyone to graduate from the academy as a government-paid missionary for Jesus Christ. Wrong. Wrong. And we will track you down and we will fight you. You violated your oath to the Constitution and your core values to the U.S. Air Force Academy and the U.S. Air Force. Now, is this hard to do if you have this great zeal to want to proselytize? No. Your superintendent's doing it. He's an evangelical Christian. He's doing it great. Many others are doing it. We're just saying there's a time and a place and a manner. You cannot scream fire in a crowded theater. And as I told you, it's embarrassing for me to have to sit out here and give you my resume of how much we are associated with Christianity. Most of our donors, most of our staff, the vast majority of our clients. Some of you may have seen the story that we broke about the gun sites, the Trijicon gun sites. We broke that with ABC News about a month ago. We had over 100 members of the military come to us, the vast majority of them Protestant and Catholic. The situation with the earth-centered circle here and the cross being placed up there. Yeah, I'm well aware that these things are all controversial, but that's what we do.